Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. Thanks for joining in today's session. Today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, Shloka number 24. And the shloka is on your screen. So I'll recite the shloka and then anyone can try after that. So the shloka goes, Tasya akhila jagat dhatur avam devasi sharanginaha pashada iva sampatro netvam tvam bhagvat padam. Tasya akhila jagat dhatur avam devasi sharanginaha pashada iha sampatro neto tvam bhagvat padam. Tasya akhila jagat dhatur avam deva sharanginah parshadav iha samprapto netam tvam bhagvat padam. Anyone would like to try the
Hare
shloka?
Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tasya kila jagaddatur avam devasya saranginaha parshadau iha sampraptau netam tvam bhagavat padam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am also trying.
Please, Prabhuji.
Tasya khila jagadhatu avam devasya saringinaha parshadau iha samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji. Can I
Hare
join?
Krishna, Mataji. Please, Mataji.
Tasyakhila jagadhatu abham devasya saranginaha parshadau iho samprapto netum tvam bhagavat padam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Anyone else would like to try? Okay. We'll quickly go and look at the synonyms. Synonyms by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Tasya, his, Akhila, entire, Jagat, universe, Dhatu, creator, Avam, we, Devasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sharanginaha, who has the bow named Sharanga, Parshadav, associates, Iha, now, Samprapto, approached, Netum, to take, Tvam, you, Bhagavad Padam, to the position of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We are the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the whole universe, who carries in his hand the bow named Sharanga. We have been specifically deputed to take you to the spiritual world. Anyone like to read the purport, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Please, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that simply by knowing his transcendental pastime, whether within this material world or in the spiritual world, anyone can understand factually who he is and how he appears and how he acts, can be immediately fit for transfer to the spiritual world. This principle stated in Bhagavad Gita operated in the case of King Dhruva. Throughout his life, he tried to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by austerity and penances. Now, the mature result was that Dhruva Maharaj became fit to be carried to the spiritual world, accompanied by the confidential associates of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Om Ajnana Tirmendasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshar Ulmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamischa Shri Rupam Sangrajatam Sakana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Dalita Shri Vishakha Vitan Nischa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will be discussing on the shloka. The shloka goes Tasya Akila Jagat Dhatur Avam Devah Sharanginaha Tvashadav Iha Samprapto Netum Tvam Bhagvat Padam. We have read the translation, so we just quickly go to the background of what has happened. So far, Dhruv Maharaj has conquered the whole world and has ruled the entire earth for more than 36,000 years. And the time has come for him to go back to Godhead. So we have got two associates who has come from Vaikuntha Loka, name is Nanda and Sunanda. So we'll see very nicely from the previous shloka we have seen that how they have come to Dhruv Maharaj and they're introducing themselves. So we can see that, generally when people come, they greet each other and they introduce themselves. So because they're representative of God, they have got etiquettes and they are nicely introducing themselves that I am this, and we are here. What is their purpose of coming and how they're interacting with Dhruva Maharaj. So this is how they are doing. So Nanda Sunanda have approached Dhruva Maharaj, are introducing themselves and showing them the purpose. This is why we are here for. The most interesting thing here is we can see from the difference between this introduction, introducing themselves between the Devduts and the Yamadutas. So you can see in Canto 6 that how when Ajamil was on the deathbed, how the Devdutas how they approached and how the Yamdutas approached and how the Devdutas approached. And they got different ways. Yamdutas has got different ways of taking the soul. So anyway, when the soul leaves the body, either of these two personalities comes, either Yamdutas or the Devdutas. So Yamdutas has got their own ways to take the soul from the body, and they've got different ways of doing it. So we can quickly go through a brief how we can see brief comparison between these two personalities. So we can see that when the Yamdutas come, they try to take the soul forcefully out of the body. And that is because the soul is still attached to the body. Because soul still thinks that, I'm this body. And he always try to relate the body with the people related to the body, acquisition of the body. Everything is around with the body. They associate everything with the bodily concept. And that's why when the soul is leaving, it's very painful. So we can give for an example, we can see that if you are sitting in a room, and if someone is trying to pull us out, so when the person is pulling us out, we will try to hold the object in the room, right? Either it will be a table or a chair, a cot or a bed. I think someone's microphone is on. You can have a look. So when someone is trying to pull us out of the room, and that's forcefully, again, without our will, what happens? We try to hold on the things, just so that no one can take us out. So we want to be in that room, but someone is pulling us out. What happens then? The person gets frustrated, who's pulling us out. He will start beating us. Come out, come out, come out. That's what happens to the soul. So when the soul is being attached to the body, and the Yamdutas comes to take the body out, to the soul out, the soul doesn't want to leave the body, still want to enjoy the body, enjoy this material world, knowing that body is not even capable of handling things. It's old, it cannot do things. Still, the soul doesn't want to leave the body. That is called an attachment. And this process of leaving the body is very, very painful. In Garud Puran, it's said that, when the body is taken out by the Yamdutas, the pain that the soul feel is around 42,000 scorpions biting at the same time. Now, the comparison is given to scorpion biters because when scorpion bites, people doesn't die. They have pain, very bad pain. When a snake bite, yes, people die, but yes, scorpion bite is very, very painful. And it's like 42,000, that's like pretty much covered every part of the body is covered with that bite. So when the body leaves, that kind of pain the soul goes through. And that's why the process is very, very painful. Hence, the soul doesn't come out that easily. That's why they use the yampash, to take the soul out forcefully. And doesn't mean when the soul is out, it's in the hand of Yamraj. The journey ahead is very, very cool and easy. No, it's not. The starting process starts from there. The torturing process of the soul who want to enjoy this material world. The process is like, they have been beaten all the way till the soul reaches Sayamnipuri, where the Yamraj sits and do the whole Chitragupt thing happens. And that path is around 800,000 yojan of red copper, what do you call, a plate, which is full of hot, really hot, red hot copper plate. And the soul is dragged on that hot plate and the speed, move towards to the destination where the Yamraj is going to do the final verdict of the soul. So it's very, very painful process. Whereas if you look at the other side, on the contrast about Devadutas, now this over here is like a first-class service, whereas the Yamduta is like a very, very, very third-class service, and this is a very first-class service. So here they introduce themselves. Hello, sir. I am this. I am that. Welcome on board. Here on the here on the opposite side, the soul is eager to leave the body because the soul knows I am not this body. You can see the comparison where the devotees lives and the non-devotees leaving their body. So when the devotee leaves the body, they are eager, they are, I'm not this body, I want to go back to Godhead. So soul immediately leaves the body happily. And that's why we have seen when devotees leave the body, they're always smiling. They're not distressed. They're not passing stool, not urinating, So they pass in very happy mood because they know where the destination is. They don't need any yampash. The soul automatically comes out. And they know the purpose of the life, that I'm not this body and my destination is Golok Vrindavan. And you can see, whereas Yamduta, they drag the body, whereas in Vishnuduta's case, they have got a very nice Pushpak Viman, decorated with jewels, flowers, and all the way when they go back to Godhead, is the party going on. Sankirtan is on the way going on, it's like a good first-class treatment rather than the Yamdutas. So here we can see that Dhruva Maharaj was a first-class devotee. And that's why the Devadutas are here, who was introducing themselves, that we are here to take you back to the Godhead. Now, if you see, Srila Prabhupada on his purport quickly emphasize that, the process. Srila Prabhupada has is always try to bring to the point, where he is making the point very clear. In any book you see of Srila Prabhupada has always emphasized on 3 points, very, very crystal clear, right? So Srila Prabhupada wants to bring to the same point again. It's going back to the Bhagavad Gita, that how to attain that perfection. How to attain that perfection. How we can attain that perfection so we can go back to God. And Krishna Prabhupada wants us as a jivas to understand this thing very, very clearly, and understand the process as soon as possible and as better as possible and as clear as possible. How we can go back to Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada nicely explained that the first thing that Srila Prabhupada mentioned is most of all of his books is three things he mentioned very clearly. The first thing is a jiva, who we are. So we know that we are eternal fragmental parts of Krishna. And Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that Mama Vansha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So you are my all the living condition are my eternal fragmental parts in the conditioned world. So we are conditioned in this world, and we are the eternal fragmental parts. That's the first thing that Srila Prabhupada wants to, in any of his book, that's what he says, that we are the eternal fragmental parts. The second thing which Srila Prabhupada emphasized in most of his book, that who Krishna is. So in any of the, most of the books, Krishna's definition is very, very clear. For example, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are tons and tons of verses which emphasize who Krishna is. The most prominent one is where after Sukadeva Goswami, after saying all the incarnations in Canto 1, is Eta Chamsa Kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. So it doesn't say any other name that Vasudev or Vishnu or this and that. He says very specifically Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. And also from Brahma Samhita, it very clearly says, Brahmaji says in the very first shloka that, Ishwara Parama Krishna, that of all the Ishwar, Param is Krishna. And Sachidananda Vigrana, Sarvakaran Karanam. So that is Krishna. So we have understood that Jiva are the eternal fragmental parts, and Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And the third thing that Srila Prabhupada brings to the point is always our relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is the most important thing, our relation, sambandha with Krishna. What is our duty as a sambandha? When we have the sambandha with Krishna, what is our duty? So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that the duty of a soul is to serve Krishna. Jivere Sarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Nitya Das. Our eternal position is to serve the Lord, not to become the master, to serve the Lord. So you can see that from this shloka, the point is something else where Nanda and Sunanda are coming, introducing themselves to Dhruva Maharaj. But Srila Prabhupada straight away in the purport comes to the point, bring the audience to the same point that, Krishna, Jiva, and our relationship. If we know this thing very clearly, what will happen? We'll go back to Godhead. This is the whole philosophy of whole Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada, this purport is basically is I would rather say is like a part of Bhagavad Gita, shloka, chapter 4, shloka number 9.
Yeah.
So if anyone would like to try the shloka, please.
Janma karma chame dibbam yo veti tadvata takta deha punarjanma naiti mameti sharjuna.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anyone like to read the translation, please?
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, this shloka very clearly says about three things. We will try to elaborate this shloka, what Krishna is saying in this verse. So, I was reading one of the conversation with when Srila Prabhupada having conversation with Brahmananda Prabhuji, and Srila Prabhupada says that this shloka is the essence of the whole Krishna consciousness. There are definitely other shlokas as well, but this shloka, someone knows this shloka tattvata, in truth, then what happens? He understands the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And that's the ultimate truth. So we'll try to elaborate this shloka. So what Krishna is saying here, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So what does Divyam means? Divyam means transcendental. So Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So Krishna is saying that, my birth, my form, qualities, pastimes are all Divyam, are all transcendental. Krishna is dealing with his devotees is transcendental. Just look at the example. Next month, we are having Damodar month. It's going to start very soon. What happened in that Leela? Krishna broke the pot, broke the trees, and that became the Leela. On the other side, when Krishna showed the universal form, the Virat Roop. What about Krishna showing eating the dirt? Became the Leela. Any pastimes which Krishna does becomes a Leela. Any words what he says becomes a dharma. What about Krishna running out of the battlefield? Was praised. When Jarasandha brought the whole army of brought the Brahmanas in front of his army, Krishna said, "I cannot fight it." He ran from the battlefield, and what happened? People were praising it. And there's a temple in Dakor called Ranchod Rai. If other people would run from the battlefield, they will be, "Oh, you're a traitor, gaddar ho, tum darge bhag gaye," But Krishna has been, all of his leelas are been, is all transcendental. So all Krishna's activities are all transcendental. There is no defect in what Krishna does. It's fully 100% pure. And what the next line says, Evam yo viti tatvata. We need to understand this by truth. Not by sunliya chalega. No, it's not happened that way. It has to be understood truth without any mental speculation. You have seen, that people come in temple and we say Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead and Krishna is transcendental. People can accept that transcendental, but why there's no change? Because they haven't accepted the totality of the truth. That's why the whole thing, that's why Srila Prabhupada has given lots and lots of philosophy just to make people understand this point that Krishna is supreme. This is, you need to understand this as a truth, not by mental speculation. There are so much philosophy has been given by Srila Prabhupada just to make people understand this point, tatvata, in truth. Otherwise, it's not possible to understand Krishna that easily. You have to approach the spiritual master. And that's why if you see spiritual master, there's the last line, tadviti pratipane patena, the shloka, the last line it says, what does it say? Yani tattva darshinaha, because the supreme personality, because the spiritual master has seen the truth. Tattva darshinaha, he has seen the truth. And the truth is Krishna himself. So unless we come to the spiritual master and ask them submissive inquiry, he can relieve this knowledge to us. But we need to understand Krishna in truth, not superficially. Oh, Krishna has got theek hai. I have heard that story. I have heard the Damodar Leela, what happened. Krishna was eating pot, he broke the pot, he did this and that. It's not a story. You need to understand that Leela, that how that happened, why that happened, what is the purpose behind that happening. That then you can understand Krishna as it is. Otherwise, all superficial, it's all mental speculation. Until we don't understand Krishna in totality, in reality. That's why the word Srila Prabhupada used is factually the word, that Srila Prabhupada used in this purport. That's the word, factually. So once we know who Krishna is Krishna is transcendental, and we know that in truth. Evam yo viti tatvata. When we know this in truth, what happens? When we leave this body, dehar punarjanma. When we leave this body, that's the ultimate goal. What happens? We don't come back to this material world. Our destination is fixed. We will go back to Godhead. There's no staying back here. So we can see Srila Prabhupada is very correctly explaining that this is the essence of the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness. We know who Krishna is. We know who Jiva is. And we know what the relationship with Krishna is. So once we know that Krishna's form is transcendental, we know that in truth, then we can understand that our final destination is Golok Vrindavan. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to make sure that we understand that relationship with Krishna. That's most important. So I was listening to one of the classes where Giriraj Maharaj said to maintain the relationship, there are two things are very, very important. Two things are very important to maintain the relationship. And the first thing is to maintain the relationship with Krishna, with anyone, whether spiritual world or material world. There are two things that needs to be maintained. The first thing is when maintaining relationship with anyone is to be attentive. Attention is given on that person. The second thing is spending time with that person to maintain the relationship. Say, for example, there's a newlywed couple and they are talking on the phone. Now, wife is thinking about someone else and talking to the husband, or vice versa. What will happen? They're not communicating properly with each other. Even if wife would say something or husband would have said something, I wouldn't have heard that thing properly because she is thinking she is elsewhere. Physically, she may be on the phone, or physically she may be present there, but mentally she is elsewhere, or he's elsewhere. So both have to be on the same level. Attention is to be given. Similarly, if the person says, 24/7, oh, I take care of my family, I do this, I'll take care of my parents, my wife, my kids, and this and that, but they don't spend time with each other. What's the point of thinking 24/7 about that relationship? That's going to ruin anyway. Either today or tomorrow, it's going to go stale. So to have the perfect relationship, we need to have two things: attentiveness and spending time with each other. Now, now we can see that in terms of spirituality, when the new devotees come in the temple, we generally tell them, please come to the temple and, start. You can start one round, you start two rounds, Why we do that? What if they come for the first time and say, pay attention what you're chanting? What will happen? They will not come for the next time. We want them to spend more time with Krishna, more time. Now, when I say more time, that is in relation to chanting, coming to a temple, associating with devotees, doing some seva, trying to associate as much as possible with Krishna. And slowly, gradually, the knowledge is given. What happens then when they start spending time with Krishna and the knowledge is given slowly, what will happen? Automatic attentiveness will come. Oh, I'm doing this thing wrong. I'm doing this wrong. Let me do the right way. This gradually it will come. That's the most important thing. Attentiveness. So if there's no attentiveness, we are simply wasting our time. So attentiveness is the most. That's what we see in morning when we do our 10 offenses. With the last line that we say it's also an offense while inattentive while chanting. That's the most what we will say is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that inattentiveness is the root cause, or is most powerful. Is powerful enough to cause the other offenses to happen. So in this yuga, Krishna has come in the form of his holy name, which is Chaitanya Charitamrita, this Kali Kal Naam Rupe Krishna Avatar. So Krishna has come in the form of, has taken an avatar in the form of his holy name, and it's very merciful. And if we are if we are associating with Krishna, but if you're not paying proper attention, what's happening? We are not associating with Krishna directly. We are chanting Hare Krishna, but we are looking at the phone. We are doing chanting when we are thinking of something else. It's not attentive. Especially in the morning, people say when they are chanting, they finish their mala in 1.5 hours. So there are only two things: either they are skipping beats, or they are skipping the mantra. It happens when you are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and again Hare. That two Hares that comes after finishing and the beginning of the mantra, it gets overlap sometimes. So attention has to be given when you're chanting the mantra, because this is the only whole and soul of going back to Godhead, especially in this Kali Yuga. So Harinam Prabhu is very, very merciful. He has come as he has taken the incarnation as Krishna himself in the form of the name. And we have to spend time with that Harinam in the form of chanting, because that's the only way of going back to Godhead. So we can see from the past that how I just like to encapsulate this session that we've discussed three things here. The first thing is Srila Prabhupada, the first thing is the difference between the Yamdutas and the Devdutas, how they approached and the way they take the body out, the soul out of the body, and the difference between how they go back to Godhead and how they go back to the hellish world. So they are two destinations, two differences between the Yamdutas and the Devdutas. The second thing that we discussed in today's session was the relationship which Srila Prabhupada brings in the purport, that is that who Jiva is, who Krishna is in our relationship with Krishna. And the third thing that we understood from this session was in chapter Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, shloka 9, is that Krishna, we need to understand Krishna's is transcendental in truth, factually, not superficially. And when we know that Krishna is supreme, Krishna is transcendental, our destination is confirmed, which is we can't take birth again in this material world, we go back to Godhead. And the most important is relationship with Krishna. How we can maintain that continuous process of relationship with Krishna is two things, again, attentiveness and spending time. So whether it's to maintain relationship in the spiritual world or material world, if we spend time being attentive, we can maintain that relationship for very, very long. On this continuation, if you spend more time nowadays, we can see we are in a high-tech world. People spend more time on internet, on their gadgets, on their phone, on their tab, on their laptop, rather than whole actually family members. So we need to understand that we need to spend more time with the actual living objects rather than the lifeless objects. So to maintain that relationship. On that phase, I will like to end the session. If you got any questions or any add-ons, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, yes, we are just reviving the Bhagavad Gita again. Beautiful. You have explained the things, the relationship, the components of the Bhagavad Gita. Three of them is so nicely explained. Jiva, Krishna, and our relationship. We actually basically don't want to understand what these three things, and then the whole problem starts. Even in our chanting, we just do the chanting for sake of chanting.
Correct.
Yeah. So the mind is elsewhere and the hands is on. There is no relation. That's the sweetness doesn't come.
So true.
Srila Prabhupada instruction to make the relation. When the relation builds up, sweetness automatically comes, because Krishna is the giver of everything. So bliss, when the bliss flows, that the sweetness comes, and
so
that is
true.
how that is how we feel the happiness.
So true, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yeah. So the most important thing, this Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, attention. Attention is very, 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 very important. Other than any 10 of them,
this is the most important. Yes,
the most important.
Very true.
Only with attention, everything else can be achieved. If we lose the attention, everything becomes prominent, and we lose everything. So nicely explained, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Again, 4:9 and 4:34 from Bhagavad Gita. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Very nice class. So in this verse you got from Bhagavad Gita, it says the birth is transcendental, divyam, and also the activities. but doesn't mention the passing or disappearance of Krishna. So why is the disappearance also transcendental?
I have no idea about that, Prabhuji, but I can get back to you on that one, Prabhuji. If birth is transcendental, then death has to be, Prabhu. I have no idea,
Yeah.
but I will get back to you on that one. If anyone who would like to comment on that one, please go ahead. But I can't speculate on this, so I'll get back to you on that one, Prabhuji, if I can.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry about that, Prabhuji.
No problem.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, this description is given. So yes, the leaving, Krishna leaving from this planet is also transcendental.
Jai, there you go. There you go, Prabhuji. Mataji, can you please send us the which chapter, which shloka, which canto?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll just quickly see the, can I do that later, maybe tomorrow?
Sure. Or you can, yes, Mataji, you can ping this session, or you can chat, you can add on this chat. Yes, please, Mataji. That would be great, Mataji.
I just had a very wonderful understanding on this part where you were saying that for relationship, in terms of relationship, the whole process of bhakti is actually to create willingness in us. Krishna is just wanting our willingness to be, he just wants our willingness to come back to Godhead. So therefore this process is so, I mean, it's such a sorry state we are in, that willingness is not created within us after hearing so many many instructions. The willingness is still missing. Like
That's
even
so
in
true.
a relationship, until and unless we are willing to be attentive, we won't be attentive.
That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't say anything, just like that. He knew the jivas will be struggling, attentiveness will be lacking going forward. And that's why attentiveness is the most root cause of everything, especially chanting. I mean, you see people finish their rounds in just 1 hour, 15 minutes max, 1 hour 30 minutes, 16 rounds. It's practically not possible. It takes at least 2 hours to finish proper, decent. So yeah, attentiveness has to be there. Otherwise, we are missing that link between, Krishna and us.
Yeah, the willingness is missing. The total concept of our willingness, it's all related to how willing we are to be paying attention, how willing we are to be doing service, how willing it is to be going back to Krishna. This is a question of how willing our desires are taking us.
Very true, Mataji. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Mataji, for adding, Mataji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that's in Prabhupada purport, in all the slokas, 3 things is very much highlighted. That is Samman, Avideya, and goal. So the whole text in the purport, the 3 things is moving around. Every time is contemplating on these 3 things. If we go through all the purport, it is only 3 things, all is highlighting.
Absolutely right, Prabhuji.
So first one is Samman. If Samman is not there, nothing is going to happen.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, that's the first and foremost things, Samman. And that, as Mataji said, and then Samman doesn't build up because we don't have attention. We are talking to you, but the mind is somewhere else. How the Samman will. So we cannot correlate what is going on in between. And we talk something out of the line. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
And that's what the whole problem is.
So
So that willingness, readiness to acceptance is not there. That is the most important.
Correct.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thanks for adding in, Prabhuji. Yes.
Anybody else got any comments, realization, reflection to add before we end the class? Doesn't seem to be. So we end the class here, Prabhu. Thank you very much for coming for this morning and give very nice
Thank you, Prabhuji.
insight in this verse. His grace, Chitra Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada, yes, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Jai.
Vanchakarpatarubhyascha,
कृपासिन्धुभ्यो पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Ananta
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
ki
Jai.
Jai.